Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Avi, and today I will be playing a certain real kind dog named Koro, and Azumi, he's here too. And with me today is my wonderful, dear friend.
Hello, I'm Oatmeal. I will be playing the professor, who's in a lot of trouble with everyone he cares about because some bad stuff happened in the game, Paint and Stone, and the subsequent game to rescue him, Fetch the Professor. Um, and so yeah, there were some questionable actions, and some people have some beef.
Yeah,
And I just dropped my hat. Okay.
not the hat.
Sorry, I got it. Okay. So yeah, this is after those games. Professor has been uh accosted by both Camille and Tome. Uh and now it's Azumi's turn.
Yeah, you had a pretty emotional conversation with Tome, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're still at the Layton household, right?
Yes.
Alright, cool. So
Yes. Hmm,
what is the professor doing right about now then?
that's a good question. Um I am unsure. I'm trying to figure out how to like separate him from the other people who aren't playing in the game. So I'm thinking maybe the boys got Leo and Camille got like put to bed properly because they are sick. Um yeah. Uh and uh Tome and Professor are kind of giving each other some space. Um, and uh, and Moria may or may not be around, uh, but also could have something to do either in the house or out. Now that like things are okay, she knows. Okay, everything's chill, everyone's back, it's good. So Uh, so professor for now is I guess um probably hanging out on the couch with Jeannie.
You're just vibing.
Yeah.
um, Sorry, I have to read this one from the gallery. Tom is trying to Tetris the groceries into the fridge. It's full of soup.
Yeah.
There's just more soup.
uh
It's all soup all the way down. So Tom's probably like in the kitchen. There's there's an occasional soft curse coming from where he's trying to put things away amongst all the soup.
hmm
And you're chilling. GD is probably like falling asleep, like half in your lap. Like his
hmm
chin is probably like resting on your leg.
Yeah, yeah.
When you hear the door open and someone steps inside, and there is like a brief pause. There's a bit of shuffling, and you hear the telltale jingle of a dog collar, and then all of a sudden, like a dog like running up to you, and Koro's there.
Delightful. Um
Koro like barks at you and tries to jump on you.
yes. Professor leans forward with a huge grin, um, and pats Koro and sorry, Genie. He's helping the dog up onto the couch.
Yeah, Genie like wakes up and lets out a soft groan and just like jumps onto the back of the couch.
Mhm.
And Koro is absolutely delighted. He is trying to give you face kisses, trying to lick your face.
Yeah. Hello, dear. Hello, it's so good to see you. I missed you. Did you miss me?
You just hear the like the Shiba Inu screaming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he just gives him good pets. Well, that's all right.
Tail wagging like for a good uh tail wagging very fast. That's what I wanted to say. There we go. Um
Yes.
and I'm not sure if you would see this because Genie's on the back of the couch now, but you do see his ears go into the alert position as he looks over. And coming stepping around the couch is Azumi, who is like gently setting aside Koro's like service vest,
Hmm.
and he just kind of takes a moment, pauses, looks you over,
Hmm.
and he's just, oh, good, you're here.
Yes.
Do you want to roll an insight?
Yep. Do you want to roll perception?
Yeah, sure, I would love to.
There's not much to get, but it's better than expected.
All right, that's a 14 plus 10 from Azumi. I'll give you for your insight.
Mm.
Azumi is. He sure is. Um, I, how
Mm.
should I put this into words? You know that feeling of watching someone experience many emotions at once, and outwardly they're just cool, 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 cool.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
That's basically what Azumi is like right now.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, Professor is just kind of slightly more disheveled than usual. And uh seems kind of tired, but that's all there really is to notice with the perception. Um, but he looks a little um cautious, but happy to see him. Um, hello, Zumi.
Hi. Um, and you see him like take a moment, and there's a brief pause, and then he just kind of rubs a hand against his face, and he's just, okay, do you want to do this now in here, or should we go outside?
Hmm. I uh considering what happened last time, outside is fine. Um, yeah, he's just kind of uncertain, but he'll if he's gonna lead outside, then he'll go.
Yeah. Alright, so the two of you are gonna walk outside. Zumi is like deathly quiet,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big uh-oh if you know him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's gonna let Koro run a little bit in the backyard
Mm-hmm.
because he was in the vest for a hot minute. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and as you two are standing outside, he again takes a moment, takes a deep breath, and he's just start from the beginning and tell me what happened.
Okay. Okay. Leo and I went to the museum. I didn't know who he was and that he was going to do a heist. Well, we left the museum. He asked to stay to watch the heist, and I let him. He didn't, I offered to stay with him, but he didn't want me to. So instead of going back to the ellipsis, I opted to uh also sneak into the museum. I
Zumi
was
just kind of huffs through his nose.
Yeah, no, Professor looks like real sheepish. Um I uh I set off an alarm, and White Rabbit was also there, and Phantom L came in to distract the guards, um, while we slipped inside and met. Um, he tilts his head a bit. Uh, a new friend, um, a toon named Ellie. Um, Phantom L came down to join us, and there was a scream, and we retreated into a different room and encountered a mm, a figure I recognized, an aberration that I had thought were only myth, but it seems in fact were real. Um, that uh, was right out of a book of scary stories from Falagray. Um, it's a big winged statue that drains time energy from you, and if it manages to kill you, it sends you back in time a good deal, usually, and feeds off of the life you would have lived, and you are stuck. And in the present, you are effectively dead because you're missing, and nobody knows where you are, and nobody can get to you. In the past, as long as you are able to uh, recover enough to gain consciousness again, you can live out the rest of your life, a life in the past. But so that's what those things do. They're called mournful Azamar. Big stone statue looks like an Azamar. Um, when when it's sort of like the thing with mimics where you can't tell what can't tell they're alive until they move. If you're looking at them, they're locked in place. They can't move. The moment you blink, in that microsecond, they can move across an entire room. So we were in there, 5 of them, and we fought, and I gave Leo the key because if he went down, I needed some way to find him again. And if I went down, he was the only one who knew where the ellipsis was and what she was. Obviously, the others survived. I went down. I was shunted 30 years into the past, where I spent a month before the others uh, used the ellipsis to come and get me. And that was hours ago. Now I'm here.
All right. I think throughout that entire time, yeah, you were explaining yourself. Zimmy's been like watching you and listening. His arms have been crossed, and um, you notice that like one of his hands is like gripping really tight at his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hang on, I need to check something for my boy.
Mm.
That is a pretty low roll for you.
Oh dear.
That makes sense because
Whoa.
you're emotional right now.
Mm.
And don't know how to handle them. Um,
Yeah.
uh, like the very slightest of like twitches in his expression, uh, as he's like trying to keep himself from like getting too upset before you finished.
Mm-hmm.
Before he just kind of takes a deep breath and he just goes, "Fuck, ugh." And once again, he just rubs a hand against his face. He looks absolutely distressed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just taking a second and he's just fucking, god damn it.
Um, I'm sorry.
And he brings a hand upwards like he's trying to make a gesture before he just stops himself and he's just, don't fucking do that ever again. And do you want to roll another insight or?
Yeah, that'll help because he's a little confused. Maybe it'll help. Nah, I don't know. We'll see about that. I mean, it's above a 10, but yeah, it's 12.
It's a 12. Um, God, how should I put this then? Um,
I guess his mainly the part he's confused about is like which part of that is he referring to
yeah,
specifically?
yeah. No, there's like a fucking. Uh, hmm. I think the best way I can put it is that that's probably not what he wanted to say, but he has no idea what else to say. Um,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and he's just really angry right now, but it doesn't seem to be like it's at you.
mm-hmm. Professor, uh, he is watching him very carefully, but he tilts his head and takes a sort of half step forward, and gestures with both arms. May I?
Yeah,
He's asking if,
yeah. You see Azumi just kind of grit his teeth, and he's just yeah,
yeah, Professor will give him a very tight hug.
yeah. And like while you're hugging, you do feel him like practically grip at the back of your jacket, and you hear him
Hmm.
kind of like mumbling it into your shoulder. He's just, "You fucking idiot! You have any idea how worried I was?"
Mm, I can only imagine. I'm sorry. I know I upset a lot of people by not by disappearing.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I was sent something in DMs and I was reading it over.
Yep. He says, I know I upset a lot of people by disappearing.
Yeah, and you feel Usumi kind of shift a little bit. He's still holding on to you for a second before he just leans back and kind of breaks away for a second, and he points a finger at you and he
Hmm.
says, "On that subject, the moment Satomi gets back from work, you are going to find him and you are going to tell him that you are alright."
Uh, of course. Of course. Of course.
He kind of just takes a moment, takes a deep breath, and he looks like he was about to add something there, and then he just doesn't, and he's just fucking the masks
Mm.
are those creatures, the
Yes.
mournful Asimars.
Hmm.
Are they gone? Are we certain they won't come after you or
We,
anyone else?
uh, he frowns and he says, we killed two of them. Um, there are three left. They're in, well, let's see, as of, what's it been? 2 days ago? Two and a half days ago? They were in, Eastford, UPA.
He kind of grits his teeth. He clearly does not like that.
Yeah. Professor doesn't either.
Oops.
Yeah, but hmm, they seem to have been cowed somewhat because after I went down, the others, well, the others took out their leader,
All right.
and the rest, they say, have fled, apparently. So they hopefully won't be as, hmm, I'm hoping they'll keep to themselves. That at least gives us some time.
I really don't like the sound of that. But fine. Fine. Ugh.
Yeah, pretty terrible.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what to say. Azumi's just handing me emotions, and I'm just like, buddy, I can't say anything with this.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I think actually what he does end up doing is that he just kind of takes a deep breath and he says, "You were back there for a month."
He gives a kind of rueful smile. Yes, I, mm, once I recovered, I was able to find a way to send Leo a message about where and when I was. I asked them to come, hmm, a few days after I was sending the message, and about a week and a half uh, after I had first appeared there. However, they, well, they tried, but the ellipsis is difficult to pilot and difficult to control, and they had already accidentally worn her out a bit trying to get into the museum and back out. Uh, he shakes his head like it doesn't matter. So they were about a month and uh, month and 10 days off. Late, thankfully, not early. That would have been a mess.
He kind of snorts and he says, "Oh, I can imagine.
Mm,
Trying to look for someone who hasn't even arrived yet."
yes.
And are you alright now?
Yes. Yes. I was fortunate to um, be found by some kind people who had a sort of uh, adventuring guild of sorts with an infirmary. I was well taken care of. Uh, And uh, when I was well enough to leave, I had people to help me find my way about town and such.
Mm. All right. And he kind of just like sighs and closes his eyes, and you get the impression like he's about to change the subject one more
Mm-hmm.
time. Uh, Before he kind of looks back up at you, and he just goes, "On my way back to the house, I did get a message from Camille."
He blinks and tilts his head a bit, and then there's a look of recognition.
And he just
Uh,
goes, "Life transference? Really?"
I had to.
Okay. Why?
I didn't know. I I didn't know how much longer Ellie, the child, not the machine, could hold out, and she was going to more than likely be hit again. And
Hmm.
at that moment, I had strength to spare. Only these things move so fast. After I helped her, another one came out of it came from the opposite side of the room and took me out.
He looks unimpressed and unconvinced.
He just sort of frowns with a bit of frustration.
So, all I'm hearing is that your own self-sacrificial bullshit got you in trouble.
I wasn't trying to sacrifice myself. I thought I could take it and make it and help Ellie. I was wrong. I misjudged.
Well, at least you can admit you were wrong.
Yes, I've been doing that a lot today.
Why do you even know that spell to begin with? Like, you had it in
I,
Mindscape as well?
yes, that's right. I, well, I hadn't been quite powerful enough to use it until uh, he sort of waves a hand a bit ago. But I initially learned the technique from hmm, an ally of sorts uh, on Darth. It's it was important to me. He had he was a um he was a Time Lord in hiding. Time Czar. My God, that is like the first time I've slipped up in like 2 years.
Oh, the
Um,
copyright police are coming after us.
no. Um, he was a Time Czar in hiding, and hmm, he had just gone through a regeneration. He had some energy to spare. And I, well, he found me when I was going through one of my own, and I almost didn't.
Hmm.
I, he waves a hand. I mentioned that my regenerations are prone to failure, I think, in that document.
No, no, I am aware of that, thanks to your document.
So I would not have made it if he had not helped me with life transference.
He still doesn't look convinced. He still doesn't look like convinced that it was a good idea to have used it there, and I'm trying to figure out how to put into words why
Mm-hmm.
he's feeling that way and how he would word it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just God, words. Um yeah, I think he
Professor,
actually huh?
I was just gonna say, Professor just every time uh like what he says doesn't cut it, Professor looks slightly annoyed because this is like one of the things that he does feel justified about.
And he's just Azumi's just like I am fairly certain in any other given situation you might have been. I would have agreed with you and say that it likely was a good decision to use that, but in the case of an enemy that you had believed to be fictional up until that moment, and therefore you did not know the full extent of their abilities until you went down, I think perhaps you could have gone with a different healing spell.
Yeah. I don't think it does twice as much of cure wounds. That's the other one that I have. They both take the same amount of time to cast. One of them is a touch spell, one of them is ranged. Life transference is ranged. I uh, I went over to her because I was deciding as I was moving which one to use. I didn't know if Cure Wounds was going to be enough, so I cast Life Transference. Again, I don't know. She was only barely more than 24 hours old. She could have only taken so much. And
Person, the target of the spell aside, would you have done that if it was any of the other allies?
yes,
He takes a
if
deep
they
breath.
were that close,
He takes a deep breath. He looks a little annoyed. And if you have any more to say, he's letting you say it.
Yeah, he's just I'd intended to heal myself after, or let somebody else heal me. I know I'm not gonna bring Leo into this, but
Oh, I think I just had a wonderful idea thanks to you.
what?
How about from now on, whenever we see a killing blow come towards one of us, I just take it instead?
He like straightens up. What do you mean?
Oh, well, we both know that I'll just come back.
We don't know. We don't we don't know that that wasn't just a one-time thing.
Well, we could always put it to the test.
I That's a humongous risk. I
And
don't think we should
besides,
do that.
I can, in fact, rely on you to pick me back up.
You're Azumi. That's unreasonable.
Do you understand why we're upset now?
I because I decided to let myself get hurt in order to help somebody else.
And he takes a deep breath and he says, close but not quite. There are certain strategic moves that you can take in dire situations. That does not always mean that you have to take them, especially when you have other options available to you.
I had one other option, and
You didn't choose it.
I didn't know if it would be enough.
And how would you have known that life transference would have been enough either?
Because it does twice as much as cure wounds.
So?
So I could heal her as much as possible and be have the peace of mind that she would be okay and move on from there. Whether that uh restored her health completely or only restored a little, I can only do I have no I would have no idea, but I can try my best. Wasn't going to be stingy about spells when a child's life was on the line.
No, that's fair.
It was either cure wounds at the highest level I could cast it, or life transference at whatever level I wanted.
He still doesn't look convinced.
Mm.
And he's just. I think this kind of slips out uh, without really thinking about this. without really like thinking about what he's saying. He just kind of looks unimpressed uh, as you try to defend yourself, and he's just, "Gods, you're so stupid."
I don't know if that caught on recording. Professor just sort of like groans. I am trying. Things were moving very fast. It could have been avoided if all of us had done something differently. I don't know, 3, 4 turns backwards. That's not leaning on the fourth wall. He's thinking in like terms, like
Sorry.
chess metaphor.
It's so funny. It's because like my immediate thought was like on an arbitrary scale.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's making a game. He's making it like a board game metaphor. Apparently, I was not the only healer there, but I think, the only one healing people. So that was a bit too. He sort of shrugs. Some pressure there.
He sighs and he says, "Right, Leo did mention that he was punching rocks."
Professor just kind of makes a face like, yeah, he didn't want to say anything about it, but he was doing that. Um,
Why did Camille ask me to do this? Ugh.
hmm,
I think he's just decided to pass this on to Moria because he is not in a good emotional place to like continue this argument.
oh,
Cause like he tried, he gave it his
hmm,
best. He's still not convinced,
yeah, oh man,
which is really funny to me. I love you, audience. Um,
yeah, oh my God.
and he kind of just sighs. Uh, and when he looks back to you, and he's like, you know, I think the thing that frustrated me the most was the fact that I likely would not have the chance to have this argument with you. By the masks, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, he's not sure what to say to that. For a moment, at least. I'm glad to be back.
Fuck you for making me worry.
I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I I didn't want to have gone. Not just because it was, he waves a hand, like, whatever, but for all of you.
He kind of looks like he's trying to search for something to say.
It wasn't part of the plan.
Oh, no. I doubt that.
Well, I'm just saying because people seem to be under the impression that I will just throw myself at an enemy and not worry about it. It's not the case. I have some self preservation.
To be fair on their part, the impression that we got from Leo's messages weren't exactly painting you in the best light.
No.
And
No.
the use, again, of live transference puts that into question regardless.
Yes, I can understand that. Azumi, you know I can take a hit.
I do?
I wouldn't use the spell if I couldn't. The same blows that
We
took you out completely from Grimold, I was able to limp away from.
don't.
I'm just saying.
We could have lost you for good. You understand?
I do. I do. I thought I lost you for good. 12 hours ago, I thought I would have to wait 30 years. And I would have done it, but I thought I would have had to stay there, out of the way of the timeline, because I couldn't afford to mess anything up. And then I'd be able to I they wouldn't have had to go on any sort of mission. I would have just shown up. Don't worry about it. The angels, the Azamar, whatever. I don't know. I probably would have lied to half of them. It's not like I would have looked any different.
His brow actually furrows, and he's just. You sound like you have the utmost certainty that you. Excuse me. The utmost certainty that you can make these decisions for yourself. Not sorry, I fucked up those words.
Mm.
These decisions for other people by yourself.
What decisions?
You are you were so prepared to lie to them after living out the extent of 30 years without being able to come back on your own terms, and you would have lied about being alright. Do you really think you could have gotten away with it?
He frowns and looks away, and there's guilt there, but also stubbornness.
You were such a fucking idiot.
I don't I don't want to put the
Nobody
weight.
asked you to make that decision.
I wouldn't have lied to everyone.
You would have still lied.
Yes. I lie about a lot of things.
Oh no, I'm more than aware of that. But you interact with these people on a regular basis. Do you think you really could have kept it up for that long?
Mm. He is. He is like seriously considering the question, and he tilts his head just slightly. Probably not to you, but
Don't discredit the others for their own sake.
it's.
I. He takes a deep breath. He looks. He actually looks visibly upset
Mm,
about this, and he says, if I had to learn that lesson the hard way to keep myself from pushing the others away under the assumption that it was for their sake, you don't get away from this so scot-free either.
he takes a deep breath, and there's. The stubbornness is gone. He's just thinking. I-
Kind of just sighs.
You're right. You are. I don't think I want you to be, but you are.
That's how it usually is for me.
Mm. It's. It's not out of. I won't, but it wouldn't have been out of malice or disrespect, just habit.
You see him kind of raise a brow at you.
I don't really age. I can I can leave and come back and people won't have any idea.
I kind of figured you already have.
I have,
Hmm.
not for that long. One time it was a necessary rescue mission. The other, I was I was going stir crazy. I needed something different. I was not in the best mental health.
That's. And he considers for a second. It's like, I at least kind of expected that. You are a traveler. You did. Mm.
I've always been upfront about that.
Mm.
If people don't notice that I'm gone for longer than they thought, then it isn't usually any harm.
Usually.
Usually. But you're right. That wouldn't have been one of those situations.
He takes a deep breath. Like he's trying to figure out how to word this in a way that doesn't make him sound like an ass, which is very difficult for Azumi. um, he's just. Sorry. Um, he's kind of like taking that moment and he's just as long as you are aware that they are a lot more observant than you will give them credit for. They more than likely will notice. Maybe not right away. Maybe some time will pass and then they'll just ask out of the blue. But don't lie to them about that.
Serious question.
Mm.
When you say that, do you mean I have to tell them? Or if they ask, I tell them the truth?
If they ask, that's.
I can do that.
Good Lord, I'm not going to ask you to be upfront about everything. I can't even do that.
It's. Yes. I'm sorry that this has been such an awful mess that hurt everybody.
Well, it's like you said, you had no intention of doing all of this.
Mm-mm.
In fact, I think putting the blame on you entirely would actually be quite unfair. In fact,
Thank you. Tome tried.
Tom wishes it were that simple.
Yes.
But and you kind of see him like take a moment and you have a feeling he's going to make a joke which he is not very good at making, and he's just, I can't believe out of all of this you made me want to punch the statue too.
Hmm. It's not a good strategy.
It really isn't. What was Leah thinking?
I don't think he was thinking. I think he was just very angry.
Right, well, I did promise I would get him gloves on the off chance this happens again. Ugh.
Huh. Well, maybe he can develop that strategy, but unusual for a bard, but not unheard of.
I would much prefer that he didn't come back from another heist with bloody knuckles.
No, 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 at least get him some protective gear.
Sorry, I'm so glad this is where the conversation went.
Hmm.
They've been like standing outside, and Koro's probably been like running around this entire time.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have been allowed to like try and play with the ladies. I look at our audience. Um, Koro has been bothering Tom with the groceries. um, but like after a moment, they just kind of, I think Azumi kind of just reaches for his pocket and thank you, audience. He reaches into his pocket and he pulls out like one of Koro's toys, and he's gonna hand it over to the professor, and he's just, you just look like you need to rest for probably a good few days.
Yes. Are we good?
You actually see him like take a moment to like mentally check,
Hmm.
and he's just, I think I am still angry, but at least it's not towards you.
Okay. I really did miss you.
He opens an arm for you. One more hug.
Yeah. He.
Yeah. And if Professor wants, he can play with Koro for a bit.
Yes, he absolutely will. He he will probably like find somewhere in the backyard to sit and, play fetch with Koro basically.
Yes. Dog be upon ye.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to end off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. Thank you, Oatmeal, for playing with me.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you to our listening audience, both now and in the future. We are going to bid you all a good time zone.
Bye.
Bye!